In my opening remarks, I mentioned Dr. Richard Cook from the safety culture community. In a previous conference, he told us something amazing. He said there are certain types of stories that you'll never be able to hear on stage. Instead, you hear them after the sessions, most likely at the bar after there have been a few drinks. And that's when the real lessons are told. Great practice comes from experience, he says, and experience comes from bad practice. This struck me as profoundly important. The only people who got to hear those stories had to be in the right time, the right place, and hanging out with the right people. So we wanted to bring those stories so that you can hear them as well. Thus, we created the DevOps confession format. We've collected stories that we've anonymized and will share with you. So please welcome one of our programming committee members, Cornelia Davis, CTO of WeaveWorks, who will be reading one of these stories. Over to you, Cornelia.
Hello, my name is Cornelia Davis, and I am part of the programming committee for the DevOps Enterprise Summit. And today I'm pleased to bring you this DevOps confession. We call this one Cert-Pocalypse. Several years ago, after many years of operational struggles and an inability to improve our operational environment, we realigned development and level 2 operations into cross-functional build-run teams. That is, our developers would be taking on some of the operational responsibilities. The existing operations leader did continue providing some operational support, including level 1 help desk and other ITIL processes such as change and incident management. There were many objections, and there was a lot of background chatter to this plan, including DevOps will not work here, engineers don't understand ops, and engineers should never access production. After the dust settled from the reorg, we set out to improve operations by treating the operational processes as engineering problems. We began automating a lot of things. This included a heavy focus on infrastructure as code and using version control for all scripts and tooling that supported operations. We started looking for easy wins to reduce toil on the teams who were in constant firefighting mode, working around the clock to keep up. We found that we had hundreds of certificates to renew each month. Renewing a single cert required a ticket. A team would process that ticket and return a certificate, after which we would manually apply it to production. Lead times were very long, and manually retrieving the cert and properly updating it in production was error-prone and dangerous, often causing an outage. Fortunately, our certificate store had an API, and we felt that this was a great opportunity to automate a tedious and error-prone process. We had some of our best engineers design and implement a process that would check the certificate store, and if a cert was up for renewal, it would revoke and delete the old certificate and issue a new one to be installed into production. A script was built that would iterate through all certs and do the deletion and issue process. During development, the engineer went about testing this for the first time, and this script accessed the store to carry out the process. Unfortunately, the script was pointed at the one and only production instance of the certificate store. The developer watched in horror as the script began deleting and revoking every certificate in the enterprise. Fortunately, the developer, carefully watching the output scroll by, reacted quickly, killing the script when it had only invalidated a handful of certificates. Had the developer not noticed, it would have revoked and recreated every certificate in the enterprise, including those that support our communication systems and email. The developer quickly escalated to the enterprise. I'm going to start that paragraph again and see what I can do to edit. Fortunately, the developer carefully watching the output scroll by, reacted quickly, killing the script when it had only invalidated a handful of certificates. Had the developer not noticed, it would have revoked and recreated every certificate in the enterprise, including those that support our communication systems and email. The developer quickly escalated to management, and the team worked to restore the invalidated certificates, minimizing the impact of the mistake. Following the incident, we did, of course, put proper controls into place to segment the production certificate store from that of the lower environments. We have never shared this story outside of a select few people. At the time, the organization was still raw from the reorg and would have looked to punish the individual and potentially unwind our move to DevOps.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Damon Edwards.
Hey, and I'm John Willis.
You might know us from the DevOps Cafe podcast, which often features a lot of folks from the greater DevOps Enterprise Summit community. So we're happy to be hosting the Lightning Talk session. If you want to catch more of our podcast, you can go over to devopscafe.org and register to be notified of the upcoming next generation of the podcast. But today, John, we're here to introduce some Lightning Talks. Can you tell us all of what Lightning Talks are all about?
Yeah, for those of you who don't know the Lightning Talk format, it's basically 20 slides, 15 seconds a slide, and 5 minutes. What's interesting is usually it's very stressful live. Virtual, we've asked people to create that same stress level by automatically advancing, and I don't think we had any cheaters, so I think we're pretty good here.
Yeah, it's a virtual high wire act for the performers, and it's a little intermezzo or a palate cleanser for everybody else. So hopefully you enjoy them. John, who do we have? Who's first?
First, we have Kat Swattel and Jay Bloom, and I think it's going to be interesting. Their talks are around social technical, and actually Kat has actually worked with Jabe, so it'll be interesting to see both